What's going on, everybody? This is A&J, and welcome back to the network. And in this video, we're going to talk about Week 9 a little bit in review, and of course, go into a bit of predictions for tonight's Thursday night football matchup coming up here within the next hour or so between the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. So, with that in mind, we're actually going to start from a week ago tonight. What about that man, Davante Adams? I mean, we're talking about one of the most unbelievable performances I've seen in a long time from a receiver. 10 receptions, 173 yards with one touchdown. It actually probably could have been a lot more than that, especially with pass. I don't remember at what point of the game it was, but Rodgers had him on a route where he was on the sideline, and if he would have thrown it a little differently, there's no way that wouldn't have been house. So chances are he'd have 2 touchdowns and would have broke for like 200 receiving yards, which I don't know what it is, but between him and DeAndre Hopkins of the Cardinals, those two guys are ridiculous. I mean, it doesn't make sense for receivers to be that good. Well, maybe it does. There was Rice, and then Moss, and then Calvin Johnson, and I'm sure the list could go on and on from there. But yeah, granted, the Packers did take advantage of a wounded San Francisco team. Still, I kind of expected something along the lines of a performance that we got from Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams. They just are out to not even so much make a statement, but of course it's playoff hunt time, as if it isn't any other point in the season. And you know, the Packers are going to be there. They're definitely going to make their presence felt, and they're hungry. They're about as hungry as I've ever seen them in quite some time. But moving right along from that, I'm not going to discuss every game in detail or anything like that, but certainly some of the more standout situations, specifically the Carolina Panthers near upset of the reigning defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I was watching as they were showing the ticker tape scores and everything, and when I saw that they were up at least 2 scores at one point, and I was thinking, like, man, they could pull this off, but then again, it is Kansas City, it is Mahomes, it's Andy Reid, so you know. I mean, you got to temper expectations, but they actually wound up performing well. Christian McCaffrey was helpful to them, um, specifically for the fact that he got in his 69 yards. It may not seem like much, but where he's really good is in the receiving game. And if we're being honest here, I think a lot of people have given Teddy Bridgewater a little more flack than what he deserves. He's certainly a serviceable starting quarterback at the very least. Maybe not necessarily elite level, but I still think there's something of a window for him to prove that about himself. I didn't really think he was going to do that this year because you got Matt Ryan in Atlanta, you got Drew Brees in New Orleans, and then you also got Brady in Tampa, which that one we're going to get to in a moment because, oh my God, I just talk about being taken by surprise, but we'll get there in just a moment. Other things that stood out to me, the Bills and the Seahawks. Wow, I mean, we had what was definitely a battle of MVP candidates. I'm here to tell you, this dude Josh Allen is for real. I mean, 415 yards. Like, literally, there's reason why people consider him to have the strongest arm in the league. I mean, and that's not even the best aspect of his game. I mean, being all a 6'6", like what, 240. I might be underbilling that part of it, but I mean, the dude's a monster. He's broken tackles from linemen and linebackers alike. That just, you know, you see that happen as it's happening, and it makes no sense. But that guy is a freaking monster. And early on, he was actually a candidate for MVP, and he certainly made a statement in this game, especially against the man who a lot of people probably still consider to be the leading candidate in Russell Wilson. But it's definitely a two-horse race at the very least between the two of them. So that's all that needs to be said there. Of course, there's Broncos and Falcons. I'll save that for Bronco talk, which this video will be uploaded tonight. I fell off a bit. I said I was going to actually have stuff that would be uploaded today, including this, but it's just going to be this and one other video from last night. I'll do Broncos talk and maybe a couple of other things tonight, and all of that will be a part of my Friday upload package. But that aside, Pittsburgh still remaining undefeated, but surprisingly enough actually had to squeak by a severely wounded Dallas Cowboys team. I think that we're going to start seeing a few chinks in the armor. Baltimore actually had an opportunity, to knock them out of the ranks of the, knock them out of being undefeated. And I feel like that the next matchup they have, which is going to be in Pittsburgh, I gotta believe that they're gonna find a way to seize said opportunity in that game. Lamar Jackson has been coming around and has looked a lot better. I'm just trying to see. Yeah, it was a game, interestingly enough, against the Colts in Indianapolis, where they were down for quite a while, but then a controversial call for Marcus Peters' interception reared its ugly head into the game, and everything just turned around ever since then. I mean, Lamar just did Lamar things, and, they played really, really well from that point forward. And I think that you're going to start seeing a reemergence of Lamar Jackson. But we'll wait and see. I kind of like what I saw from him, because the whole knock on the Ravens is they couldn't play very well in situations where they were behind, but I feel like they've overcome that little hurdle, and we'll more than likely see much of the same. Now, another one is the crazy finish to the Raiders and Chargers, where it looked like Justin Herbert was actually going to get redemption from a week before. Nah, let me leave that alone, because we wound up losing. So I'm sorry, Chargers fans. It shouldn't be. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, he had a short pass to Mike Williams in the end zone, where it looked like he had it, but then he didn't. He wound up losing possession on the way down, and the game was just over at that point. Raiders came away with a 5-point win. They've had a pretty tough season. I mean, not that they've been any less susceptible to the injury bug or even COVID issues or whatever it may be. Yeah, the Chargers have definitely had it rough, and I feel like they're going to be one of those types of teams where next year they're going to be out for redemption, and in a big way. And I got to really talk about this one. How about Tua? How about Tua Tagovailoa? I really didn't know what to expect from him going into this game. I mean, it was impressive that he actually led the Dolphins to a win over the Rams, who were favored, especially since he was going to be dealing with Aaron Donald. But he said, to hell with that. I don't care who you're sending at me. We're going to win this. And they did. Came into Arizona, and he put on a show. I mean, it was as if he didn't miss a step from before he had injured his leg against LSU for Alabama. I mean, he's got a hell of a hell of a future in front of him. It's so great I can't even say that correctly. But nonetheless, I mean, he dueled it out with Kyler Murray, who really had his fingerprints on the game. I mean, 106 rushing yards in addition to 283 passing yards. Yeah, it was like you would have thought the Cardinals won this game based on those things alone, but came down to a missed Zane Gonzalez field goal at the end, and you just can't have those. But kickers haven't been having a good year this year anyway, so not all that surprising there. Now to the aforementioned Buccaneers and Saints. I think just about everybody in the mama had picked the Buccaneers to win that one. No way did they ever think. I mean, they probably didn't rule out that the Saints could and would win this game, but nobody was betting on 38-3. I mean, what happened there? But it was just it was really interesting because you had New Orleans, who got Michael Thomas back. Emmanuel Sanders was back from injury, but it just it was a game that you had to deal with all the weapons in this one. I mean, it was. I'm not even sure really what else to say other than damn, But that's what I'm going to have on that one. And then we cap it off with a Monday night game with the New England Patriots, who edged out the winless New York Jets. And for a while, it seemed like the Jets were going to get them, but in true New England fashion, and now with Cam, not Brady, but with Cam, they pulled the comeback. And it was rather impressive going towards the end. I mean, for those that are naysayers of Cam Newton, I think you got to pump the brakes on that one. He's still got something to him. I don't care what anybody says. He has an awful lot left in the tank. And I don't know that we're necessarily going to see him in 2015 MVP form, but it's going to come pretty close to that. Maybe he does it and maybe does better with it. His performance going to a Jacoby Myers, amongst others, was certainly something that you have to take note of, because I think this is something where if Myers emerges more and more every week, you got to look out for the Patriots. You really do. I mean, I'm not saying in the sense of Super Bowl contender threat this year, but maybe in the next couple of years, especially as they pick up more weapons, which I imagine they will. But we'll see. We'll see. Now, moving on tonight, we actually have the Titans and the Colts, as mentioned. And as I take a look here, and this is in Tennessee, of course. That's coming up here in the next 50 minutes. I'm going to scroll and, injury report. So, wow, I guess I didn't need to go full blown with that. But for this one, wow, okay, the Titans are going to be without Adoree Jackson, which is huge, and Adam Humphries, who has actually been quite a weapon for them. Colts are going to be without Jack Doyle, who I'm not sure. I think Eric Ebron has come in and been more of the factor at tight end, but Doyle is good enough to give him the depth needed to certainly add to that production. But all the same, the Colts have actually been pretty good in terms of run defense, and 83, a little more than 83 and a half yards a game. I think that says a lot, which is huge going up against a Derrick Henry led rushing assault, because I mean, it's Derrick Henry. What else needs to be said about that? To whereas they're averaging 148 a game right now. And to me, I think that there's a good chance they probably do a good job of containing Derrick Henry. But my expectation is that he's still going to get his one way or the other, and he's going to do things to where he opens the game up for other weapons like A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith, and others. As a matter of fact, along with Derrick Henry, they also have a really good running back, Jeremy McNichols, who has done really well in spot duty when they've brought him in. I mean, he's probably as good a backup running back as anybody that you could look at in the league. So I'm certainly expecting some good things out of him. And, I just feel like between Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, they're going to find ways to exploit weaknesses in that Colts defense. But we'll find out. It's still going to be an interesting matchup because Phillip Rivers has looked really good. I know that they've had performances out of the likes of a Nyheim Hines. You got, I think Jonathan Taylor should be active. I don't know. I got to look into that again. But if I'm not mistaken, they're supposed to be getting T.Y. Hilton back. I don't remember what the situation was on that. And Michael Pittman Jr., you'd like to think you get something out of him, but I haven't noticed much out of him. Again, Trey Burton has certainly been very key for their offense, but it's going to be a really interesting matchup. As far as picking a winner tonight, I'm going to go with the Titans. And I'm going to say it'll be something to the effect of, we'll say 28-24. So, yeah, with that in mind, I'll go ahead and leave it at that. Again, going to do Broncos talk at some point tonight and have that uploaded in the morning or sometime tomorrow. Also, we'll do predictions for the rest of Week 10 and have a bevy of other things. In fact, I just want to point out that if there are any pro wrestling fans that are going to be watching this, I got something for you because there's a lot that happened last night with AEW Dynamite. Easy for me to say that 3 times fast. But there's a lot of things that I want to talk about, specifically the murmurs of Shaq and Cody Rhodes. And I'm just here to tell you right now that if you're expecting actual Shaquille O'Neal wrestling against Cody Rhodes, you may not like what I have to say about that, but we'll save that for another time. And with that in mind, I thank you for being here. Thanks for having me. Have a good one.